Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today we are jumping back on our 1974 Volkswagen bus transporter. We're not going to be working on the inside of the bus this time. We're not going to be doing any electrical. We're not going to be working anymore on the interior pieces, what little bit we have. Our attention to a power. Are we going to drive this thing? Are we going to try and keep it more original with an air-cooled engine? Or are we going to look at something a little bit different, maybe a little bit more modern, more power, maybe a little bit more highway time? So there's a lot of options for these. Originally these came with a Type 4 air-cooled engine, and as you can tell, we do not have an engine at all. But what we do have is a 5-rib transmission. This is a good highway transmission, a little bit taller gear, so it's nice for those lower RPMs. But I did cruise on the old Facebook market, typed in some keywords, and we came across this. So I got the engine in the stand for a really good deal. The guy I bought it from said he was going to use it for a dune buggy. So it isn't air-cooled, but I want you to give a quick guess in the comments what you think this is. But if you've been also a long-time subscriber to the channel, you recognize this setup in the background over in this corner for a lot of videos when we did our 1982 Fiat restoration, which is still ongoing here and there. So make sure you guys are up to date with that. I'll put a link to that series up above to watch all of that from the beginning, from the day we got it to where we are now. But back to this, we're going to uncover this engine. I have no idea if this runs. I have no idea if it's any good. For all I know, it could be garbage. But it was for a heck of a deal, and I'm not going to pass it up. It's definitely got the wrong spark plugs. Those are way too long, but more yellow, you know, the brighter, more horsepower, we'll take it. We do have a little cover. We added this because it was dripping oil, so that means that it has oil, I'm guessing, so we'll have to take a look at that. But it is a air-cooled engine. So this is originally out of a Bug. So this is a 1600cc, a 1.6 liter. Now this is going to be too small for our big old bus. So this thing is really heavy, really big. Even with the more friendly transmission, it's going to be a challenge. We could technically use this, but it is just going to destroy this thing in a matter of time. And you know, we could use it for now to get it putting around, just to work out some kinks, but I'm not really a fan of doing that. But for video's sake, I think this will be a good opportunity to see if we can get this thing up and running, air-cooled, so we don't have to hook up a radiator or anything like that. So we're going to get this up on a bench. We don't have a little adapter on the back to hook the starter, so we'll have to make the transmission to it because we do have a starter as well. This came with a box full of goodies, clutch kit, all sorts of bug lights and switches and all sorts of stuff that we have to go through. But this will be a good one to test. It has a carburetor. Looks like it's relatively complete, so we're going to give it a go. Oh, that's reassuring. Whatever that goes to. But we're going to see if we can get this thing off the stand. We're going to mate it to the transmission and see if we can get it to light off for us. And if it does, maybe we'll have enough time to just slide it in there for the heck of it and see if we can get this thing to roll with that. But that's way, way down the line. So let's see if we can even get this thing started. So let's get it all set up. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick pause and talk about today's video sponsor, Vintage Car LEDs. Are you nervous to drive your classic at night just because your headlights just aren't quite bright enough? Head over to vintagecarleds.com and check out their wide variety of headlights that fit in our old classics. You can check out their different products, their apparel, you can even compare the models, contact them with questions, but more importantly, what will fit? If you go here to the middle of the screen, every make and model you could possibly imagine, even for our Fiat is on here. We'll go down to a Volkswagen, which is what we've got. We'll go to all these options. We're going to go down to the transport. We're going to hit search. And here you go. All the headlights that'll fit our make and model are here. Different sizes, bulb brightness, all give you variety and options to drive safely at night. Now here's the good part, is I've got a coupon code for you. You save 10% with the keyword GarageTimeTV at checkout off your entire purchase. Again, use the coupon code GarageTimeTV at your checkout for 10% off your entire purchase. So let's get back to the video. We've got those joined together. We've been able to reuse the hardware that was on the engine stand to make sure it's all the way in there, nice and seated, all the way through on the bottom. I'm not going to put nuts on the bottom here, but it's all on there, it's all attached, so hopefully that'll do just fine for us. The next step in our process is we've got to get power to this thing. We do have a jumper pack, so we're going to have 12 volts to the starter. And then from 12 volts, we'll be able to distribute it to a coil. I have some coils and things up there, and hey, convenient. We already have some zip ties. Somebody was definitely a professional with the bright orange, you know, for speed. So we are going to put a coil to this, attach it to our distributor. Looks like a lot of it is here, so a lot of the work is going to be for us, done for us. We've got the fuel pump and everything. And then maybe we'll be able to fill the float bowl through the horn here and kick it over, and we'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just get some power to this thing and get everything wired up. All of our electrical is hooked up. We've got our jumper pack grounded to the case between the transmission and the engine. We've got power to the stud. We've also got our I work alone, I have no friends switch hooked up to our post in our 12 volts. We will also have 12 volts hooked up to our coil. I think it'll probably be better if I disconnect from this side. That way we don't have a live in kind of flopping around when we're not using it. We also have our distributor grounded here. I'm going to see if we can get away without filing points and leaving that as it is. Maybe we'll get lucky. And if we do get so lucky, we have no exhaust whatsoever, and it's going to be really loud. So let's get some gas down in the float bowl, see if we can get some action on here. It's our throttle works, that's good. So it looks like we're all sealed up everywhere else. I don't see any hardware disconnected, anything like that. We're all there. All these are on. Now I know because it's air cooled, we can't run for long if we get it running because we don't have the fan putting air through these fins. So let's grab some fuel. I've got some in a jug down there. I'll put in a little bottle and we'll fill this up, and we'll be able to hit that button and see what we get. Alright, so we've got some gas in a water bottle here. We just put a slit in the top. Now we want to fill that bowl, but before we do anything, we need to check this oil. Now I knew it was leaking oil, but if it's leaking oil, it's got oil, right? I mean, that's at least in theory. But we're going to pull this dipstick. We're going to wipe it. There is some stuff on it, but hopefully that's a sign. But we've been rolling it around and shaking it up, so we're going to well, we are, you can see that, about in the middle. So we are a little low, so it has been leaking for a while, but it's got oil within the 2 marks. I'm going to call that good enough for a test run that we're going to do. So I'm going to fill this float bowl, hopefully don't spill this gas everywhere. Alright, that's going to take forever. I should have just done a round hole. I just cut an X pattern. And this is taking forever, and it's dripping just as much down the throat as it is into the fill, the breather here. Alright, we're going to call that good. So I'm going to disconnect the coil. Oh, let's do it this way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in there like safely and disconnect that real quick. Yeah, we can. We'll be able to yank it if we have to kill it. Alright, we're going to put power to the system. So, cross your fingers. Do the smell test. I don't smell anything burning. All right, and we do have spark at the coil. It just sparked at me. So we're going to put that back on. And let's see what our starter tells us. Well, that went exceedingly well, actually. So we sparked off like in an instant, so that's a good sign. We definitely need to fill that float bowl. That way maybe we can even get this thing to idle, but it sounded really funky. And we saw that puff of smoke and the fireball. That was pretty awesome. But we turned power off. I think we need to fix our connections at the starter. They are a little loose. So I just need to make some adjustments here. These aren't the best connections. But with that firing off, that means we didn't have to touch our points. So that's really good. But yeah, this, what the heck? That's not very exciting, but we're gonna fill it up. Let's get this thing topped off, and let's see if we can get this thing to idle, and maybe we can even get the throttle to rev a couple times for us. All right, we're gonna go for take 2 on this. I have better connections, I've fixed that. Everything is still plugged in. I've let some of that gas hopefully evaporate out of the top part here of our carburetor, and I have our coil still disconnected, but I'm going to reattach that. Please don't shock me. All right, that's reattached. Everything is where it should be. Make sure that's kind of in there a little bit. And I'm going to turn on power, put on my earmuffs here, and kick it over the starter and see if we can get it to idle a little bit and give us a rev. Cross your fingers. Well, we got some idle out of it, and my smart self got my finger a little too close to this exposed plug wire, and boy did I feel it. No coffee for me today, but we did get some revs out of it. It does sound like we're only running on the accelerator pump. I give it a little bit of throttle, and that's when it'll run, but for all we know, that float bowl isn't filled up very much, so, you know, who knows. And we do have a pretty big vacuum leak on the bottom for the vacuum advance. So that's not helping us either. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up again. Maybe just need a little bit more gas, and maybe we can get some more out of it. All right, here we go for take 2. Our power is off, so I didn't disconnect the coil. I'm going to see if I can just rev it from the top here and stay away from that, because I don't want that again. So here we go. Power is on. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, so we're definitely only running off of our accelerator pump, which for some reason works. And I can already see that we've got a leak on the back side of our bowl where it's starting to come through that gasket. Not surprising, because this has been sitting in a hot garage for a long time and then in a shed before me. So, I think this vacuum leak on the bottom isn't doing us any favors. And I'd love to see if that mechanical fuel pump works. So I'm gonna get some fuel line. I'm gonna see if I can tighten these up just a little bit to stop that leak. and see if we can get that fuel pump to keep the bowl full, and we can let this thing idle.
A few moments later.
Alright, so that float bowl is reattached. We have fuel lines attached to our fuel pump. I have no idea if that's going to be any good. We're going to grab a vacuum cap for this little fitting here on the side of the intake. So we've got a little cap here. It's probably too big, but it's all I've got right now. And it's better than leaving it open, I guess. So yeah, that's way too big. But I guess if it has vacuum, it'll suck it in. At least that's my theory. Alright, so our accelerator pump is still working. We're going to have our super high-tech gas tank down here away from the exhaust. I'm going to put my ear protection back on because I don't want to be deaf. So we've got one exhaust here, one there, and we're going to see if this will idle and if our fuel pump will pump. So I've got the clamps on it. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see if we can get something going. That's better. The good thing is I can see bubbles moving around in the bottle. I can see air bubbles. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there are air bubbles coming through the bottle. So hopefully that's a sign that our pump is working. I don't see any leaks around the pump either. I can definitely see the bubbles coming out, so we're getting something. All right. Well, that's great. Now I'm going to be deaf. Well, I'm going to pull that off out of the way. I think we're going to have to refill that float bowl. I'm going to have to fix my earmuffs here, and then we can give it another try. So, trial and error. That's what we got here, but we are getting a heck of a lot closer to getting this thing idling on its own. So, we're going to keep on working and see what we can get going. We're going to turn on our power and we're going to give it a shot here. Ooh, we're so much closer. We refilled that float bowl. I'm going to leave the gas line off. It's really hard to control three things at once. So we've got that pretty full, probably a little too full. And we're going to see if we can just get it to go off that. Try to mess it around. Let's do this thing. Now that is what I'm talking about. We got that to finally run. I didn't hear any knocking, any banging, anything like that. And that sounds freaking good. Well, just like no exhaust or no headers or anything like that. But looks like we've got a good running engine. And this is a really good candidate, even though it is a little small. I'm gonna want to put it in the bus just to see if we can get the bus down the road. Let's refill. We're gonna do this one more time. Let's do this. We're gonna refill the carb one more time to let it run off the bowl, because it seems like it doesn't want to pump to the fuel pump. At least it wasn't running long enough to get the fuel pump to get it up there, which is fine. And we'll see if we can put the transmission in gear and see if our transmission is any good, because we have no idea. For all we know, it was left in the car because it wasn't any good. So let's refill it and see what we can get. So I'm trying to do this out by hand first. You see I've got it pulled out to engage some of the gears, and nothing is turning on the front, which kind of makes me think that our input shaft is not reaching far enough. Well guys, that's going to be the end of this episode. We got the 1600cc Volkswagen Beetle engine to run. We could put it in the bus. I think it's got, well, the holes are plugged for a mustache bar, so maybe not. But I don't even think it's touching our input shaft or our input shaft for our transmission. So I'm not too worried about that right now, but let me know what you guys think in the description. What should we do for an engine in this thing? Should we stick it with an original air-cooled and keep it more original? Or should we just kind of go a little extreme and do something like a Subaru swap? That's a really big common swap that people do with modern power, modern parts. It would be water cooled. It'd be something interesting to put together and see if I could actually do it. So that might be an option. Or we'll just go back to old school with a Type 2 like this, or maybe find a Type 4 that this originally came with. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think we should do for our bus for a power plant. I'm kind of up in the air. Maybe air cooled, maybe Subaru. I don't know. Let me know. I want to hear from you. What should we do? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Subscribing really helps me out. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see ya.